Welcome in the last section of our course. In this section, we'll be looking at the topic of classification prediction using deep learning approach. So firstly, we'll be analyzing input data about persons. So we will analyze the persons datasets with some traits. Next, we will be choosing a feature to extract and use in a model. So we'll choose that feature and we'll use it as the input feature for deep learning neural network model. Third video will be about creating that model with multi-layered approach using DeepLearning4j API. Then we'll be transforming features to input deep learning vectors, and finally we'll be predicting the classification for our persons. And this is a first video in which we'll be analyzing input data about persons. So we'll be analyzing trait of the persons, we'll be using names trait, and we'll be looking at feature vector that is labeled for our purpose. So let's start from analyzing our data. So we have two files. First file is a f.csv. F stands for the female, so those are female names. So we can see that there is a lot of different names here, and those names are labeled. So we know upfront that those names are female names. Then we have a corresponding file with male names. So we can see that we can also have here the male names. So those two files can be used and should be used as an input to classify names. So let's see the classification and prediction using our names. So firstly, we will be focusing on loading that data into our model. So we have a classify and predict trait using deep learning, and we want to load that data. We'll be using line record reader user trait. So we'll be reading our trait that will be named in this example using line record reader. So we're leveraging line record reader API, and we're leveraging that this is a reader that could be plugged into deep learning neural network model easily. So we are just extending that and we will override needed methods. So let's look at the most important method in this specific example. So the most important method is initialize, in which there is a logic of loading our labeled data into proper feature vectors, and that vectors will be labeled using male or female, of course. So we can see that we are taking the file split, we are splitting it using some specific split locations. We'll have a URL to our locations, then we are iterating over them, and we are creating temp names. So we will go through the locations and we will filter our name. So we will get a name of the specific label and we'll collect it to the temp. Then we are loading a temporary file and we are streaming everything to the optional of string. So this optional of string will be the longest name. This is the longest name, so length of this specific name is longer than the actual longest name. We are keeping it. We'll be using that for the further processing to extract some specific names that are outliers. Then we are just building our temp names and adding those pairs. So this is important. So we are building it according to the male-female labels. So we can see that at the beginning that labels that we are defining here are male or female. So we'll be loading data from those two files. So we want to leverage the fact that they could be labeled easily.